If you're a fan of The Witcher, you've probably already seen the Witcher 4 trailer and a lot of the speculation about the trailer. If you are a fan and haven't seen the trailer yet, there is a link in the description of this video that will take you there. I would recommend you go watch it now, and then if you feel like coming back to hear my take on things, then come on back. And if you don't feel like coming back, then I thank you for watching this far. I'm Max Powers. This is the 311 Griffin YouTube channel. I'm not going to speculate much on this trailer or what the game will be like, mostly because I'm seeing a lot of speculation in the articles and in comments that aren't really based on anything except the desire to get clicks and ad revenue and things like that. Much of the speculation is a little bit misleading or sensationalist anyway, and I don't really want to add to that. Also, there's this disclaimer that they put in the trailer, and for good reason. So the game may not even look like this. It might, but it might not. So what I'm going to talk about is based on the trailer and some of the headlines I've seen. I'm not 100% certain if any of these headlines are true or not, but from what I've seen, it's just the information CD Projekt Red has put out so far, and that's what I'm trying to base my opinions and speculations on. And for the most part, what I'm talking about is the fact that the main character will be Ciri, not Geralt, and that Geralt will be in the game. Those are the two major things that seem to be confirmed and spreading around and getting people either up in arms or really excited, one or the other. Excited either way, but for different reasons. So, some people are already upset about this, and they're predicting that this game is going to be a flop. And that's a reputation that Hollywood and the game industry has kind of earned, if I'm honest, but I don't know that CD Projekt Red or the Witcher series has earned it. The Witcher series, excluding the Netflix series that was mostly garbage, despite Henry Cavill. Other than that, the Witcher series, books and games, are very interesting in a couple of ways. First, they've been kind of a quote-unquote woke story before that was even a term that people were using. But it was really done in a more realistic and sensible way that worked within the lore of the universe. It rarely felt like there was any kind of a forced agenda, aside from the various agendas that the characters themselves had that were very realistic agendas. And those were all decisions and events that fit within the believability of each character. So it never really felt like wokeness, but that is something that's different about this story arc that a lot of stories miss out on, is that whatever agendas were being presented were realistic and non-forced. Second, and more interesting to me, is the fact that Geralt has always been the secondary character, but in an interesting way that allowed the reader or the player to put themselves in Geralt's shoes as a way of witnessing the story that was really all about Ciri. Ciri is the central character because she is the key to everything, as Drinker would say, and because I don't want to have to explain it all, so I'm just going to continue to say she's the key of everything, or the key to everything. So in a way, Ciri is the protagonist, as well as the catalyst for the plot, as well as the genesis for the various conflicts within the story arc. It's really all about Ciri, except for the side stories that talk about Geralt going and fighting or healing monsters and solving mysteries and things like that. Geralt just happens to be a supremely interesting character whose history, abilities, character traits, and situation put him in the best position to take a lead role in Ciri's story. And the Witcher series is Ciri's story. So I talked about this in a previous video about Geralt and the Blaviken scene in Season 1 of the Netflix series. And I don't mind talking about it again. Geralt is a very interesting and believable character, and I won't really go into it here, but one of the reasons the books and games have been so popular is because of Geralt. Okay, so I want to point out that one of the biggest reasons that the books and the games work is because they're compelling and decent stories. This is why the Netflix series was kind of lame, but the books weren't. The books, for the most part, were very good, so any bits that annoy you or don't feel quite right can easily be overlooked. The games were kind of the same way. I think what you'll find is that most people don't care about what gender the character is as long as the story is good and mostly makes sense for the character's traits. And this is why this can work with Geralt not as the main character. So, at this point, they've said that The Witcher 4 will have Ciri as the main protagonist, and they've said Geralt will make an appearance in the game. Neither of these things surprises me or shocks me or gives me any pause. Until Geralt has a death scene, he will be in this story. And he could have a death scene in The Witcher 4. I think that would be a mistake, so I'm not saying it's something that's going to happen, but they could try to trade his story potential for some shock and awe, or to get the players, kind of in the feels, as it were. Again, that would be a mistake, but it could happen. But as long as he's alive, he'll be part of this story arc. But Ciri is and has always been the primary character in the story. It might also be a mistake to switch to the player controller for her, to switch our control to be Ciri for the most part, but it's not going to be a mistake just because she's a girl. It might be a mistake just because the story may not be ready for the player to take control of her, or in fact, the story may never be ready for that. By transitioning the player to controlling Ciri instead of Geralt, we're advancing to a point we can't go back from. We're moving to a point of the story arc. It's a point of no return. So if it fails and they don't tell the story correctly, they've traded that character position for nothing, and the only option is to do a remake after losing the trust of the player base. And Ciri could be one of those characters that's just like, that is non-approachable from a playable standpoint. It could turn out that this is a mistake just because Ciri is supposed to be untouchable and that powerful. Because Ciri has powers that are unmatched, and she's been trained to be, a diplomat of sorts. She's been a thief. She's been a bit of a rogue fighter, and she's gone through Witcher training and apparently Witcher mutations. There's one of the books I haven't read, so I don't know what happens in that. But in this trailer, it's very clear that she's full on Witcher. So therefore, she's a powerful character, and it would be fun to play because she also has all of these other powers to control time and space and teleport between worlds, basically at her whim. And she's more powerful magically. She's almost like a witch and a witcher put together. She almost has both of those powers. So it would be fun to see her develop as a character that we can control, and either way would work. Either she's untouchable or we do control her. Either way works. I think the safer bet is for CD Projekt Red to continue the story as Geralt and continue to allow us to view Ciri from outside of her character instead of controlling it. It would almost just be like saying Ciri's too powerful for us to control. However, we did control Ciri some in The Witcher 3, so they've already kind of broken that boundary. Also, at this point in the story, Ciri is old enough and powerful enough that if we're ever going to gain control of her as a character and the main protagonist, it makes sense to do it now. So the only thing is that I believe Ciri needs to fight differently than Geralt. Not very much, because with as strong as Geralt was, he still relied on coordination, finesse, and wisdom, not only to defeat enemies in combat, but also to heal them or to solve mysteries and things like that. Ciri, being smaller in frame, lighter, and less muscle dense than Geralt, needs to rely more on wisdom and finesse and coordination and less on brute force, or it just won't make sense. Ciri is strong, certainly, but I just hope to see a little bit of a different fighting style and personality so that it doesn't feel like we're just playing Geralt in a smaller female body. So I'll end with this. CD Projekt Red, don't mess this up. The Witcher 3 is one of the best games ever made for a variety of reasons, and that's a tough act to follow. Using Ciri as your player-controlled character is a bold move. I do think the time is right to make the attempt, and if you do it right, it's going to work really, really well. If you do it wrong, you've just kind of wasted a great opportunity, and you can't get that opportunity back. So that's where I'm coming from on this. Those are my thoughts on the trailer. I'm actually excited about it because The Witcher 3 is just a fantastic game, and if they simply make another game with new quests and new stories and new environments that has updated graphics but otherwise works the same, it'll be a win. So, if they go too far and kind of mess it up, that'll be a problem. But I don't think that that's going to happen, and I don't think we need to speculate right now on it being a flop. It's a long ways out, and we'll see as this develops. But I'm excited about it, and I think you should be too if you are a fan of The Witcher. That's me. I'm Max Powers. Thank you for watching. Take care.